right, I don't know if anybody's in here. Everybody's probably still watching waning moments of this ugly game. 31 seconds left. Dolphins 7. I'll get into the coverage once the final pick runs away. You never know for a miracle. Sack again. This is not good news. I think shame. I don't know. So I hate to say it, but we are in a very bad state. Season now in absolute jeopardy. It's clearly over. I don't know, guys. Soft indeed. Soft. That's what I've been saying. The phone booth. Remember, I've been talking about the phone booth. I've been talking about it for a few years. Yeah. All right. I was overconfident again. Yeah. Well, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's so difficult to evaluate. That's. I've been trying to portray why I say the things I have for a couple of years now, because the hardest part to gauge is the offensive line. And if that's not in place, it makes the whole world go around, the NFL world go around. I think that this game is different without the instant punt drop defense came out ready to play. One play defeat us. Even that means you're weak mentally and you couldn't run inside. I'll get into the whole thing. I agree that it put the leverage in their favor. But good teams, they don't fall like a cheap lawn chair. I mean, look at the Bills when they threw that pick. When they played us in their house, they could easily fold it, but they didn't. It's soft because we built soft. And, guys, I know it sounds like a broken record, but offensive line, look at that off. What did I say? The key, look, discipline was an absolute key, but Angel always, I talk to him all the time. And I was trying to get him to understand that when you're physical, you're more confident. And you don't have to be so finesse. You don't have to have so many levels to complexity. And so all that stuff breeds confidence, physicality. You've got to be able to go in there and punch, and especially in this new NFL cycle. It's past balance. I've been talking about it for a few years. So I'm sorry it's like this. Yeah, it's totally soft. We built finesse, and finesse works great in very specific environments, but it's not portable. It doesn't work against certain defenses if you don't have the offensive line. If you had an all-pro offensive line, it would work. And it doesn't work in bad weather. Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Sorry, this is – the worst part is, guys, my son, he loves football. My oldest son doesn't really care. My daughter don't care. My youngest son loves it. And he watches all the teams. He scans every week. He walked in. He's like, who's playing? I said, Daddy, who's playing? I said, the Dolphins and the Packers. He walked in. He's like, who are you going for? I said, I'm going for the Dolphins. And he looked at the score. It was 14-0. He's like, I'm going for the Packers, and just walked out. I'm like, this is bogus. They wet the bed like always because it's football is a physical game. It's a physical game. And we totally look. Tom was on our team. Could have been on our team, but he went to the Packers. Look at that offensive line. How they built. We spent a second and third on Eichenberg and at first on Jackson. We could add Zach for a fourth. They're coached. They can play some finesse. You saw that jet sweep reverse, but they're physical. They work inside on physicality. And they're not really a great team. They got holes, but they're strong across the board. Oh, wait, I'll get into that. I'll get into the stats. I'm going to give a few minutes. I got some really good stats here, guys. It's sickening. The missed tackles. Sickening. Oh, yeah, there's not. This team's got to be scrapped. Totally scrapped. Everybody fired. Maybe, a good GM comes in and says, I'll keep it Daniel. But I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think a strong GM would come in and keep it Daniel. Because this was just, a sign of you got to be physical. You got to be tough. That's all right, Scott. I kind of know it, man. I've been prepared for a while, but it's just disappointing. I said if Chris Greer could have been a genius when he traded Tunsil, if he had built like the '70s Dolphins instead of the '80s Dolphins, he'd have been head of the NFL cycle, and he would have had a superstar team. Just imagine some of the guys that were out there that we could have had to build around and not wait. You could see the short little receivers and kind of a shorter quarterback doesn't work. You got everything the same. Look at the Packers. They got guys they find later, and they're doing great things with them. We have a bad GM. He was soft GM, and the team's built soft. He actually came out hot to begin with. I heard some people saying they were going to match him up on Zach Tom, but Zach Tom's small and agile. And they put Agba on Zach Tom. He struggled early with the power, and he kind of picked it up. Zach Tom worked the other side against, I can't remember the guy's name, the left tackle. And he had success, but then he disappeared, especially in the run game. It's not his fault. I think the defense kind of, aside from the missed tackles, did okay. I asked if McDaniel was honest. Yeah, I don't know. It's terrible. I don't think he's a bad guy. He got rushed into this thing and kind of cheese whipped it to get some 30% raise in the seats and just kind of threw this thing together. It was just he wouldn't be Zach Tom. Maybe not. Nah, he was. If you go check that's the whole crazy thing. If you check his measurables, they're the best measurables of any offensive line in 30 years. It was so insane. We interviewed him. We passed on him for easy. And no. Happy Thanksgiving, brother. Yeah, you too, man. You too. Hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. I'm sorry about this. I want to win. I want to be a hopium dealer, but in like truth. And I know I played the bad guy for a couple of years, but it's got to be clear now. So let me get into some of the stuff. It's crazy. It's really crazy. And you really can't blame Tua. He had 2 bad passes in the first half. But I stopped. This is not the last drive because there was like a sack or 2 in those drives. I didn't even put that in here. He was blitzed only 4 times the entire game. He had 27% pass pressure rate, 5 sacks and 18 pressures. Only blitzed 4 times. Love was pressured 10 times and blitzed 45%. True. Now, you know what happened? What McDaniel did? He tried to get gutsy. If you notice, I've been talking about the drop in the true pass set rating and the pass rush mitigation, raising in the true pass set that we've been putting in and the dropping in the pass rush mitigation. He floored it. At one point, we're almost 10%. And that lack of protection, extra protection, broke us down. Our true pass sets, we had 46 dropbacks, 7 pressures on those true pass sets, and 17 total pass sets. So of our true pass sets, when we had 5 guys, we had 7 pressures out of those 17, almost 50%. On the other side, 28 passes for Green Bay, 3 pressures, and 9 true pass sets, 30%. Rush yards, 35, 110. And I've been talking about the 4-point tension. And you could see how they had I'm going to try to get the comments in a sec, guys. I'm just going to get this information out. I talked about the 4-point tension. And you could see the runs inside, they weren't getting big yards, but it pulled them in, especially on that jet sweep reverse. They were attacking the edges. They were attacking the deep. They were attacking all the areas. We couldn't run inside. And they just did what all the teams have done for a while. The last couple of weeks, they didn't do that. They rushed 4 guys. They laid 7 up the top. And they said, beat us. And we couldn't. Now, look at the missed tackles. This is like maybe 10 minutes before or 8 minutes before the game ended. 23 missed tackles by the Dolphins to 5 by the Packers. But that goes back to the physical nature. When you're physical and it's cold, anybody who's ever tackled in the cold or whatever, your hands are cold, you know how it feels. And when you have a design that's both flexible with finesse, but you also have physicality, it leads to these missed tackles. And I don't think you can blame Tua on this. His offensive line garbage. Tehran, he missed practice. He had limited practice today, but he basically won limited practice in 2 weeks. And not all of the sacks were his fault. I think most of it was supposed to chip and go because on the one sack, they played a couple times, he went inside to chip to help out Jones, and then he went back outside and he looked around like, "Why weren't you there?" But he wasn't good in the run game. I think that knee's really in bad state. And there was one where he blocked and Tua scrambled up and he got off it, but that still really wasn't his fault either. But he didn't have a good day in the run block. The offensive line's garbage. You see, though, on the 3rd and 1 Brewer, I talked about this. All the people out there telling you Brewer is the greatest thing forever. The 3rd and 1, he's 3 yards in the back in the line behind the line of scrimmage, and that just set the hole open for the other guy to shoot through and make the tackle. He has no physicality, especially when you line him up next to Eichenberg, who misses. It's a shame that it's almost insane. It's almost insane to have Eichenberg on his team. Trenches weren't good with Wilkins, Williams, and Hunt. Imagine, yeah. Well, I thought they would. They were Wilkins, the D tackle spot. We were top 10, I think, in run defense last year, and we broke the record in sacks. So on a D line, I thought we were really good when we had Chubb, Phillips, Sealer, and Wilkins. Now on the other side, the problem is, guys, and there's a lot of people out there that know more about the offensive line as far as the technical stuff. But a lot of those people are telling you a lot of stuff. I'm good at evaluating the physicality, the traits, the nature. I'm good at that. And the problem is we built this thing incongruently. And so what I mean by that is you've got Jones, who's an inside zone guy, right guard, and you've got him at left guard in a pass-heavy offense that runs the run zone stretch. Last year, and I see people saying, "Oh, if Wynn was in here, it'd be different." He wouldn't. He couldn't run block. He'd be better at pass blocking. And you got to ask yourself this, guys. This is crazy. We won't bring in Wynn because Jones earned his spot because they can't pull him out because they know they won't be able to run at all inside. So why don't you pull Eichenberg out, who's terrible? Who is terrible? Why didn't you have Wynn at right guard or left guard and move Jones back to his natural spot at right guard? Because there's something other than actually winning that's going on. Hey, Jose, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. There's something other, and that goes back to Chris Greer. How is Eichenberg here? Remember all the talk Eichenberg is and Jackson is guys, it all starts with the offensive line. I don't know, a lot of people call me this and they call me that. What are they going to be calling me now? But let's get into it. It's not about me. It's about this Dolphins team, guys. We're doomed. This is over. This build is over. The only thing that came with the cold was and they're seeing about it. Yeah. No, you should have seen in 2021. Oh no, 2021. Sad enough, this line is actually light years better than 2021. So the cold actually affected the defense more than the offense. But you could see the offensive players, like Tua, he had that one pass, the deep pass to OBJ, and he didn't catch it. OBJ is another bad asset that we got. Look at how the Packers built. Look at every team that's successful, how they built. It's diametrically built. And Chris Greer's 4D chess and all the people, the Hopium pimps. What are the Hopium pimps saying now? OBJ is washed. We got a lot of washed guys. How are we the oldest team in the league? This is what an old team does. They don't want to play in the cold. I'm old. I don't want to play. I used to be able to take hits in the head with baseball bats, and now I bang my fingers in the cold, and it's like, oh, I see somebody fall down now, and my legs, like I feel it in my legs. When you're old, you're not young. Your body is just like, screw this. So 23 missed tackles. You got Cam Smith, who's He's terrible. He's done. That guy is he's as big a bust as Noah, maybe worse. And I hate to see Duck still get groomed and trained a little more. I think he's got talent, but he just got thrust into the lineup. But now we got too many problems. We're old. We're broke. Hill 4 for 71. A nice catch. He had a couple of nice catches. The one that was inside, the linebacker knocked out his hand. He caught that was really nice. The touchdown on the deflection, but not for 30 million. Not at his age. It's only going to get worse. I'm weirdly encouraged. You know why? You know why you're weirdly encouraged is because now there's no more BS. The hopium pimps and the BS artists, and maybe some people are just ignorant or wrong. I can call stuff wrong, but it's a little different though. Some of these people, they can't sell their crap anymore. I mean, they literally, you can see now the truth. There's no way to avoid it. But they're going to push to keep Greer and keep this thing. But that's why, because the worst part is, and that's the worst part for me, is like, I was like, I don't like this bill. Look at this. There's something there. Maybe. And I get all the people that I talk to, and, you feel bad for them. Now you know. At least you know. It's like when you think your girlfriend's cheating on you. You're like, I don't know. Oh, honey's just a milkman. Oh, and that bothers you. You can't sleep at night because you think it's the milkman or the electrician. And then you finally find it out. And you're like, whoa, okay. Kick her out, and then you're all good because you know the truth. The Dolphins media department turns turds into like gold. It makes people believe it every single time because we're a desperate fan base. We're a loyal fan base. We're a fan base that wants so badly. If you go look at all the metrics, Dolphin fans are like one of the highest fans that actually support their team. As a response, they said, like, oh, let's choose a team that, like, the fan base loves. And it's like the Dolphins. And then, like, they found me. And, like, yeah. That's because the Dolphin fans love their team, even though they suck. And so the media department and all the Hopi pimps, they know how to run the show. And so you're excited because now you know what it is. There's no more, they can't hide it anymore. We're too finesse. We can't retool. We got to totally strip it down. We missed the testicular curve. Old monkey over here sort of curved the NFL offensive news cycle, and our own GM didn't. He was too busy smelling his own fun, laughing at the fans, and telling them, "Oh, we're confident warrior." How confident is he now, hiding in the corner of the press box? Fans just got to stop taking. Now, let's talk about some good stuff. H.N., man, can you imagine if H.N. had a good offensive line? Tua. Could you imagine if Tua had a good offensive line? John was good, but he was very sloppy at the beginning. There's some good players. I think Wright is a very good player, too. H.N. is a darn good player. We've got some pieces, but if you go through this thing, I've been going through it for a couple of years now, it's going to take a lot. To me, that 4th down and 1, that whole drive, when H.N. took it down to the 1 and he got stopped, then we ran to the outside and he got stopped, and then we threw to little back pass. There was a play action boot back to Johnny when it got deflected, and then we got the sack after that. That is the definition of this team: flash, pop. When we get into the phone booth, we can't handle it. You'll never be able to win anything with this build, with this design. And before you get to Tua and even McDaniel, you have to understand Greer designed this thing. He picked McDaniel. He said, McDaniel, this is what we're looking to do. And McDaniel tooled with it, but the design is a finesse design that doesn't have heart, doesn't have physicality. And it's goofy. My audio is goofy. The audio is goofy. I'm sorry, guys. I won't talk. Sorry, guys. Is it terrible? Somebody give me a heads up. Is this really that bad? My audio? Sorry, brother. They do the same thing every time. How can it be goofy? I hate technology. That's better. Good now. Good now. I think I had the game. Thing. I'm sorry, guys. So, last little bits injuries. Kohu's injured. You got Fuller. Brooks got a little thing. Pino got a little thing. Went up. He went down 24-3. You haven't been able to get the run game going. You're going to have to. Yeah. Malik Washington destroyed us. We went to bed. He, this is I would say this. I would say, think of it this way. Good teams come back. They can make a big mistake and they don't know how like I'm underwater. Like this, guys. My mic is acting up. I guess maybe I have to, like I'm underwater. It's that kind of day. Like that. Like that. Don't touch it, all right? Tommy, I need your help. Hey, Tommy, what's going on? Sorry, guys. I'm so, I don't know what the heck I was saying. Clock management always continue. Yeah, because you have to do all the finesse. You can't be simple. You just got to be, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Oh, man, I need a hand. But this is the guys, you have to understand all this finesse and smoke and mirrors. I'm sweating now. I'm so embarrassed. All smoke and mirrors is there to compensate for the lack of physicality. So you build layers of complexity to mask the fact that you can't do 1+1. You just can't punch people in the face. And so when you can't do that, all that complexity then becomes problematic because it's so much to carry. That's why in motion at the same time, the quarterback messes up and the plays get in late because there's nothing simple about it because simple means you have to physically dominate and you can't physically dominate. That's what she said. So, I mean, Dotson was very ugly. He had a good week last week, very ugly. Uh, Hayes and Chris Brooks on a nice play, the swing pass for the first down. I don't think McDaniel had a terrible game plan, but he's just, I don't think he's the guy. He's just, Dolphins have to build a team as if they're playing. They have to. That's the craziest part. That's the craziest part. We're in the AFC East. We are a team when we play the Bills, Patriots, and Jets to get through our division. And then you're in an era where, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, these are all tough teams and playing in bad weather. I know that Greer McDaniel are nice guys. I got nothing against them personally. No, I don't like Greer. I like McDaniel as a person. I don't like Greer as a person. I think he's a snake. I'm not saying he's a terrible human being, but as a person, like to work with, I don't think he's dishonorable. I think he's dishonorable. I think he'll do whatever it takes to keep his job. Yeah, he tried it. I told you. What did I say all these years? He's got an avant-garde road. There's a road less traveled. But those who go down the road less traveled, very few it makes a difference. Most of them are eaten by bears and pooped out. Chris Greer was just eaten and pooped out by a bear. It's over. There's no hopium pimp that can come out and tell you it's not over. It's over. You've got to rebuild. But that, I forget who it was up there said that I feel weirdly happy or weirdly confident because you have to understand when something is and you have to move off of it. It's time to move off of it, and there's no way to hide that. And so maybe the next thing is not going to be easy because Ross isn't very liked and trusted. But you don't know. You never know. And you know now Chris Greer is not the guy. You know this design is not the design. And so if we unite and don't allow the media department to hypnotize us, like Chris Greer is like a Jedi, Jedi master. These are not the droids you're looking for. I'm not the problem you're looking for. I can blame somebody else. If we can hold together, hold our water, maybe the next one's going to be better, But certainly going to be better than him. Time for the Dolphins to come off that speed philosophy. Yeah, speed, finesse. I mean, look at our offensive linemen that we drafted. It's totally ridiculous. You know how hard it is to run a heavy outside zone system? You know the kind of offensive lineman? Remember we were told, you guys, you have to understand, it's mind control. In Butch Barry we trust. I'm sorry, Eichenberg. I'm sorry, Jackson. And all this fluff to hide the truth. It's so hard. Look, you go look. Every team that runs great outside zone, they've got really good offensive line because you've got to be able to, at some point, physically drive guys off the ball. So you've got to be agile enough and physical. And we're not. We're neither, really. We live off Tehran. That's it. He's broke it down. This guy's saying, Kurz, I feel like you went away from H-Chan early in the game. Yeah, we found the football. He was H-Chan. 7 for 14. He had 7 carries for 14 yards. I think most of it, I forgot what his carries were. But he couldn't run inside. I said they play wide technique by their ends. They play off leverage by the linebackers, and they play over. Don't blitz us. And that means dare us to run inside. And you can do that against bad teams, but not against good teams. So, we're very one-dimensional. We've got a limited menu, and teams, they know how to stop it. And especially doesn't work in bad weather and stuff like that. It doesn't help when Washington fumbles a football, then it really puts you in the bind. And then they score 2 touchdowns. And now you kind of get pulled some of that run game off. You got to get a little desperate. Tehran just seems like he's sticking around so to this die. It might be. If Tehran was off this team, it would be disaster of disasters. Even when it's broken down as he is, I pray he's not clueless because he's the only hope we have, and it's difficult. If he does not fire Chris Greer, if he does not get if he doesn't at least fire Chris Greer, my fear is what he's going to do is he'll fire Chris Greer. They'll put him in another job inside the Dolphins or place else, and they'll just hire from within. And Chris Greer will probably be working in the background, influence and stuff, and nothing will change. It's got to be, he is. It's a shame. I've heard that he really loves the Dolphins. He really does it. He's really good to people. And he wants to do great, but he wants business guys to run his team. And it's not. It's a warrior sport. And I've been saying this stuff, and people laugh at me. They're like, it's what it is. And so if you have guys that are not warriors, they're going to be looking for guys, nice guys, smart guys, finesse guys, and we're screwed. I feel like we have an imbalance. If you have we get 2 distinct receivers, and we got 3 first-round draft picks and $50 million. Look at Detroit. How they built. They got Sewell, who we could have had, who's generational talent. You don't need all these small smurf receivers. It's not fun. Chris Greer thought it was fun. This mic is like your Dolphins. Looks nice, but doesn't perform. Hey, man, I do this every time. We're on your channel. There's never a problem. I don't know why it's going wrong over here. My kids are all on the internet. Is it that bad? I'll cut this thing off. Figure it out. Sorry, guys. I do the same thing all the time. Ross is a successful businessman that likes the team and wants to win. That's not the formula. No, yeah. He actually ran things like a business corporation model. That's why you had Dawn Aponte fight with Philbin, fight with Ireland, and it's crazy. Two was 37, 46, 365. Yeah, it's not. Look at Herbert. Herbert has the offensive line totally built around him. I'm not saying he's not better or whatever. If they're not in the same kinds of framework, it's very difficult. I mean, Herbert, look what he's got to do now. He doesn't have to carry teams. It's hard for him. It would be hard for him to because he doesn't have to receive it. But he's winning based on running the football, playing defense, good offensive line, and making some big plays. Hey, you're a bum. I love you too, dude. Hope you have a good Thanksgiving. You know? No, he's doing a lot. Listen, he throws the football so fast. And you can see here, we try to run like regular teams. 17 true pass sets is what a lot of teams run week in, week out. They look like Swiss cheese because we're not capable. It's an incapable build. And don't let anybody lie to you. The Dolphins pick top and the top 10. They have a draft, the best. Yeah, they do, but you're not always going to get a good one just because you draft there and you more than that. I'll go through the. I did an assessment, and it's going to take because you got to figure Jackson. You can't really get rid of Jackson. He sucks for his money. He's not good, and he's injured a lot. Eichenberg's gone, so you just waste the second, third round pick for 4 years of development. Jones, forget about that. There's nobody else. You got Paul. Hopefully he develops. I think there's a good shot for that. Tehran, you can't get out of his money until after June. Is Paul going to be ready? I think he could be. But then you'll need another tackle and you'll need two guards. And I'm not really big on Brewer because Brewer pins you into this finesse system. You can't run a normal system with Brewer. He just doesn't have the junk and trunk unless you have two really powerful guards. If you have two really powerful guards, then you might be able to. He wanted the tackle, and then he wanted love. I don't think you can really blame Tua. We loved him great. He had some good plays, but look what he had to work with. That offensive line, like I said here, that offensive line is. Just look at Goff. Look at Darnold. Look at those offensive lines, how they developed them, how they built them, and how they're able to support quarterbacks. It's all about the offensive line. The offensive line makes the NFL go round. It's true. Go watch Harbaugh when he came out this year for the Chargers. He said the same thing. There's only one unit in the whole game of football that everybody depends on, and they don't depend on it. It's the offensive line. Only one unit. We would need 11 downs from the field. But guys, listen, you got to feel good in the sense that now you know. And, for me, this rest of the season is just evaluating. A really good look what Peyton did with the Broncos. If you got a guy like that in here, he can turn this thing around. It's about leadership. Just make sure you're close to my guy. Kate and noise cache is getting cut. I don't know what that means. Okay, you're a smart guy, Lucas. Lucas is a smart guy. Stay close. Just stay close. Don't tell me all that other stuff. Just stay close, monkey. Stay close to the mic. Stay close right here. Guys, a really good GM could come in here and turn this thing around. And I'm not saying Super Bowl like a year or two, but a really good GM could come in here, and by next year, you would see a culture change. Look at Flores. I'm not saying he's the right coach. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that just from a coaching standpoint, discipline factor, you could see the toughness. He has things he had to work on, things he screwed up. I'm not saying that. But if you got a GM in here to cut a lot of this fat off and brought in some of the right guys, then you had a coach who could install what Flores installed, that, takes no talent, but then have the relatability and not have a GM sticking to the back with the owner. And you have that unity between the right coach and the right GM. By next year, you could see this team. It wouldn't be good, but you'd be like, "Oh, I'm proud of it. I kind of get them. They're tough." And then by the year after that, then you would start seeing this team do well. And I would say stick with two, and you draft another quarterback along the way. If Tua proves to be the guy, you keep him and then trade that other asset. But if not, you develop Tua as the asset, and then you can use him to acquire something. But you've built a winning formula and a winning model. Thing is, though, Ross wants to win right away. He doesn't want to wait. We were building the right way. We made some bad picks, but we were building a slow boil, and then we rushed it after we got rid of Flores, so we could say Flores was an idiot and we could raise the tickets 30%, and that's what helps screw all this stuff up. They don't have the two edge rushers, expose them to better teams. Yeah. I mean, you lose talent, and but again, you would say we could have had Van Ginkel for $10 million. Instead, we traded a couple of big time picks and $24 million for Bradley Chubb, who's always injured. So yeah, they're injured, but you could have just had Van Ginkel, extra $14 million and a bunch of picks. So no, Chop he had a hard time, but not early. Early, I saw him making impact, but then he kind of disappeared a little bit because the run game, when they ran the football a lot, and that pulls his talent off, pulls his talent out. And if you go back, and I said this in my podcast, if you look at our defense versus good offensive lines, it's a problem. We have problems with good offensive lines. So you can't do Chop. He's a good player. He just doesn't have. He's not in the right system, and they were in a balanced approach because they were ahead, and he's not there yet. He's just a pass rusher at this stage. Our backups aren't much of a comparison to isn't the weak link. He's not the weak link, but you look at them. They missed their best cornerback, and he was still able to do stuff. They just have a deeper team. You have a thin team. Again, it's just a very basic thing. We had tons and tons and tons and tons of draft picks, and we're currently now the oldest team in the NFL. And we're broke. That's called mismanagement. Yeah, look, you know who it is. You know what this offensive line is, and you stuck with Skylar and Mike White and Huntley don't fit what you need. How come you didn't develop the quarterback and find a quarterback who works your system, who can either A, process very quickly because the offensive line sucks, or B, release very quickly because the offensive line sucks. But we didn't. They're idiots. They're not. Look, Chris Greer is not competent. He's not competent. 2 fourth-round picks on Kinley, the 19th on Jackson, second, third on Eichenberg, second on Rosen, third on Dieter, Cam, Noah. I mean, he's got, and then the ones he does is Hunt and Wilkins. He doesn't want them. So, I don't know. Where is Van Ginkel? Oh, that's right. Yeah, we could have had him for $10 million, and he would have been perfect to play that Sam run-stopping linebacker opposite Phillips. Doesn't make any difference. In a cut foot, he couldn't blame him. That was the one weird. That was a nice thing. It's like, yeah, he had those 2 bad passes, but OBJ should have caught that. It was like over here. You got to go up and get that for your money that you made. Dropped one last week. It's not Tua's fault. You can't. This league is no longer about throwing it down. It's not that cycle. It is pass bounce. Every team that's opinion is doing. Look at all the numbers they've gone down. No, I wouldn't say. I would say some in some ways, but I would say this: you could have a very good offensive line, a very good tight end, a very good run game, and his quick release would work on play action. Same way, and then you could still do pocket post, quick throws that you're doing now. If this thing was built for Tua's skill set, they would have an awesome offensive line. But they got a terrible offensive line, so only his skill set will keep it looking like garbage. There's no other quarterback in the league that will survive this offensive line. Not because he's the greatest, because he's got the quickest release. He processes really quickly in that little area, the middle ground area. There's no other quarterback who would succeed. Yeah, too many Diddy parties, yeah. And so I would say they used to support their incompetence. That's what I'm not saying if you had the right thing, you'd go to the Super Bowl, but I could clearly build a very good offensive line, get myself a hot-to-trot tight end, one speed receiver, and one possession receiver, run the football effectively. I'm on schedule for a second down, third and fours. I run my play action. They take the step up, and his quick release throws it over the head for a big gain. And you can still use his release, but then have a full design 4-point tension offense and not be one-dimensional finesse. So I think that I don't agree with that. It's just, because his weaknesses, it's like this. No, the weakness is the GM sucks. The GM can't draft offensive line, so he figured, hey, you know what, my quarterback, I'll hang him out to dry like I've done in the last couple of years. He can uplift this offensive line. I get the 30% ticket sale increase. I can look like a genius. I mean, think of it this way. Who would come out and laugh at the fans? Well, the fans think you're more concerned than I am. And then come out and double down this year if you're wrong last year. And then get this. And then hide in the press box. He's shot, dude. The guy's shot. He's not confident. He's never. No, he couldn't. He couldn't because he can't throw quick enough. He's got very long. His protection holds up for a very long time. He's slow to reprocess. Oh, he'd run around like a chicken with his head coming off. But this offensive line breaks down into, look, guys, we were blitzed 4 times. 4 times. And we had 27% pressure rate. You look at the blitz rate and the pressure rate, and it's supposed to be like 20% blitz, 25% pressure. Like it's a good day. It's not supposed to be 40 and 27. 18 pressures. 4 blitzes on the day. 46 passes. 46 passes. It was like a 10% blitz ratio. That's crazy. 18 pressures. 5 sacks. They got more sacks than they got blitzes, dude. That offensive line is trash. I can't wait for all the gurus to come out and try to, well, maybe if we put Win in there. It isn't the internet. I use the same mic all the time, though. Doesn't it work all the time? Well, all right, guys. I'll cut it short. The same mic I do every time. All my lives. Does it sound like this on other lives? I'll put a podcast with. I use this podcast too. So I don't know. I'm an idiot. Oh my God. Chris Greer is an idiot of football, and I'm an idiot at tech. So, guys, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I'm sorry you had to go through the bad game and the bad mic. But I'll get back to you with some good content tomorrow. I don't know what's going on. Lucas, man, I got to talk to him. I'm depressed now. All right, so that's it, guys. I'll get some really good stuff to you. I'll try to do. I'll do my. Oh yeah, Will Paul. That's another thing. Just look at all the receivers that he got. All those retreads that he's gotten. Will Full is a couple of them. Who was the other guy just before this? I can't remember all the names. Chris sucks. Who's going to come out? I just saw an article, like somebody saying or something. Saying, I don't get this This thing is very. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna. Somebody wanted me. All of a sudden, the audio is fantastic. I don't know, guys. I think you know. I was always like I love barbarians. And if you know, like barbarians, man, they don't work with magic. Magic never works around them. I think like technology is like magic. It just doesn't work around me. I don't know. Maybe it's a connection. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, look, I'm going to show you. Somebody had a great idea. It's like, can you compare the Lions and the Dolphins? I'm going to do that. I'm going to compare the Lions build and Dolphins. Just look at all the teams that have been built with less cap. Look at the Broncos. But that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Offensive line makes I've been saying this for years, and offensive line makes the NFL world go round. It sets the difficulty level for the whole team. You just need average depth and average talent, and then you need good skills to amplify the average. Depending on how good your skills are, then you might need better offensive line, like the Lions have a good offensive line to uplift guys. But yeah, like that. I wish. I just want to be Jim one day so I can shake Dan's hand. I could fall on my knees to Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross, please, I really love this team. Just listen to me, please. Please. I saw a worse line today in the Lions-Bears game. The thing is, you have to remember this. Go look at how they designed their offense. Slow to process. And so if I took that Bears offensive line and I put Tua behind it and I kind of created a similar thing as this, it would look much better. So very basic. True pass set grades happen at 2 seconds and greater because you get a pass rush under 2 seconds. We're throwing at 2.07 seconds on clean time to throw, usually around 75 to 80%, which is insane. The fastest fast throw game in the history of the game. And so there's just no way to get pressure. Now, what I've been seeing is that good pass defenses, they slow down the delivery of the football and get that clock to run almost normal levels, which we can't handle. And then you can things like this, where you blitz 4 times and you get 27 pressure. 18 pressures, 5 sacks with 4 blitzes. 5 guys against 4 guys. 46 passes, and 42 of them, 4 guys on 5 guys, and you can't handle that. That's called garbage. Good old lines are rarer than people realize. You need an average and make things work. Yeah, well, there's ways to go about it. It's not as rare as you think. Great lines are great. But I can go to a whole host of teams. Packers, Bills. Bills are lower end. They're actually getting by because they stay healthy and they got good chemistry. They got some decent talent. Minnesota, Detroit. Who else is out there? There's a bunch of teams. The offensive line development is getting a little bit better. You know why? Because they're running the football more. The more you run, it's easier to run the football than it is to pass block. And so if you take a percentage of the hard duties off the table and you're physical, because remember, when you run block, you attack and you maintain the initiative. Offense is all about initiative. So if I know I'm attacking you and I attack you, it's easier than if I'm pass blocking. And it's easier if I do all this gap motion angle blocking too. That's not, if you're doing zone, inside zone, man, power schemes, it takes a lot of stuff off the table. And anybody can do that if they got enough of the physicality. And so if you take those hard duties off, all of a sudden you see the production rise. And so if you get a above average offensive line and above average depth, maybe find one or two key top pieces on that thing. All of a sudden, the thing was good. Again, look at Minnesota, look at Detroit, look at the Green Bay Packers, look at Arizona. We played a couple of good offensive lines this year. There's a lot of good offensive lines. We're just so bad. Yeah, you got to get rid of him. You should get rid of him this year. You screwed yourself. It's very difficult to get rid of him. Chris Greer tied us up, hog tied us. But he's been doing that for years because it's all borrowed from people to pay Paul. Now, you borrow and then they're like, no, no more. I'm taking the house. That's all he's been doing. Everything he does is smoke and mirrors. Now you got to pay the piper. Everyone's like, I don't care. Now you got to care. Just imagine where we would be if we had kept Dan Campbell, but maybe not better win-loss, but we would have physically and mentally tough. We could have. He needed time to develop. He was underpaid. I think he got what he needed. I don't know if he would have been the same guy here. Maybe, but he's a good one. He's a good one. We're gonna do not read, Curtis. I'm not trying to love it. Let's see. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to read. I clicked on it. So that's it. This team's in very bad shape. I think we're going to struggle, and we'll also see. We're also going to see if McDaniel can hold this thing together. I don't know. It's bad news, guys. It's a shame. Tua's a good guy. I think he's got talent. I think McDaniel's a good guy. I think A.J. is a very talented star. I think Teron's unbelievable, but he's old though now. He's still really good. I feel bad for him. He's so much pain. He's even so much pain as well. But he's going to make lots of money. We got good guys. Even Waddle's a good player. He can be much better in a different system. Again, that play action system. You could run game. Put on all team, you'd be very successful. There's good guys on defense. Campbell's playing unbelievable for us. It's just we don't have enough. Just don't have enough. Yeah, hopefully he does what's right. I'm gonna push it to do something. It'd be so easy. Again, this whole thing. Crossing. How do you keep crossing? You believe in accountability. You believe in accountability, then you would have benched, you would have fired Crossman, and you would have benched Eichenberg and put Win over. There's no accountability. Reezy was an elder. Yeah, like I don't know if he'd be a good head coach. I like him personally. He's a tough guy. We need tough guys. We have a GM that's half tough guy and half politician. I don't know. So anyway, I'm sorry about the audio. I appreciate you guys. Case. And he thought he was the next. I think wasn't it that Ross said? Yeah, I think he's the next young Don Shula. I bought into that the first couple of weeks, and I was like, then I didn't. I loved when he cut the lineman, Dallas Turner, and the other guy mid-season. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I like this guy. He was probably the same. It's like, oh, he's quirky. At the lunch. So, all right, guys. Back tomorrow. I'll work on the content. Oh, that was Philbin. Philbin was the young. There's no two farther things apart than Philbin and Shula. Oh, Queasy. Don Shula. Man, I did a lot of drugs when I was younger, but I never did that much. Oh, guys, I hope one day we can get it fixed. All right, guys, you're the best. I'll work on my tech side. That's what I know best. Everyone have a good night. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Sorry about this mess. Talk to you guys all soon. You're the best. Hasta la vista.